Hey everybody, it's me, Language Bay. You're now rocking with the best. Thank you for being a part of my YouTube channel. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell so you get notified each and every time that I drop that heat. So anyway, today we have Errol with us today, and she's going to be telling us about her language learning journey. Hi, how are you?
Hello, that's right. My name's Errol. I am a trilingual copywriter, translator, professional blogger. So I speak English, that's my native language, and then my second language is Japanese. My
Hmm.
third language is Spanish. I have taken German before. I want to take it again because I've been obsessed with Netflix and I've been watching this German show. But anyways, so I blog about language learning for a living, and I also blog about multilingual parenting,
Hmm.
inspiring other moms on my website, Morenita Mommy, and on my Instagram, just kind of giving the behind the scenes of what it's like being a multilingual, multicultural parent and just kind of navigating that responsibility in the household through my writing and, through engaging with other multilingual families. And it's the best thing ever. I love it. And I love connecting with other people of color that write and that, speak multiple languages or learning
Hmm.
languages. It's the best thing ever. So that's me.
Yay! Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so that's interesting. Real quick, you say you're watching a Netflix. What German show are you watching on Netflix?
What show do you think it is?
I don't know because the thing is, the Netflix in Germany is a different catalog than the Netflix in the US.
Oh, I didn't, you know what? I did not think about that. Thank you
Yeah,
for the
so that's why I'm
perspective. I
like
didn't even think
asking.
about that. Yeah, it's called Dark, about time travel and sci-fi.
Dark. Let me write that down. Dark.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I
It's
have to
dark, but
see.
it's only white people, so.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Okay,
But I did see
Dark.
a black girl on there. They like the camera kept like zooming in on her, and I was like, okay, she gonna talk? I want to hear a black girl speak German. But then the camera like zoomed away, and I was like, come on, I don't what? Why would you do that to me? So
Oh my God. I know that's crazy. And we were just talking about that, like the importance of representation. I know before we hit record, and I just want to
yeah,
touch on that again. Like, I think that, that's the reason why I have the platform. And I love to come across language bloggers like you. Like every time I come across a Black language blogger or somebody that's doing something with language coaching, whatever, I'm like, yes,
yes,
yes.
more of us, please.
I
I
get
know how
so
you feel.
excited. I get so excited.
It is exciting. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And so yeah, I know what you mean. Like I always get hyped. So as soon as I see that, I mean, I understand that disappointment when you're like, so she's not gonna speak. So she's just
Yeah. It is disappointing. I don't know if you watch Black Mirror. Have you ever watched that
No,
show?
I've heard of it.
They did have an episode where a black girl was speaking in Japanese, and I was like, okay, get it. So that was really cool. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that
I
was
love
really
to
nice.
see it. I love to see it.
Right? Even if it's in a movie, like, so that counts. that,
Right.
that counts in my book.
Right. I
Yeah.
love to see it. I love to see it. I actually had a friend. She was fluent in Japanese. She went to Georgia State. I used to live in Atlanta. She went to
Oh,
Georgia
okay.
State.
Yeah.
Yeah, where do you live? That was the
Oh,
next
that
question.
might be helpful to know, right? Okay. So I'm
Right.
born in Houston, Texas, but I came up here to major in Japanese. And then I met my husband my senior year. We were
Uh-huh.
working at the same restaurant. I told him, hey, what's up? And he said, no hablo inglés. And I knew he was the one.
No. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That's how we
Are you
met. That's,
serious?
well, actually, he handed me his phone, and his phone said, hi, I don't speak English. So I
Oh
was like,
wow.
well, I was in my last year of my senior year studying Japanese. I had a job set up in Japan. I was like supposed to fly out there and everything, start my career there. But I met him and I fell in love, and I was just like, I want to stay with him. Like my whole family was shocked. They're like, Errol married a Mexican? Like,
Oh
when is
my
she obsessed with
god.
Japan? So, yeah, and it wasn't until this year my one of my Japanese professors had messaged me on Skype. She was like, "Oh, how's it going with your baby?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I speak English and Spanish to him." She's like, "Okay, in Japanese." So I was like, "Oh no, I can't do that. I'm not a native speaker." And she was like, "You better speak Japanese to that baby. You spent all those years studying Japanese. You're telling me you're not gonna speak Japanese to your baby?" I was like, "But I'm not a native speaker." And she was like, "Errol, come on. When did that ever stop? You were speaking Japanese before."
Yeah.
But she was right. I had just said, well, my partner speaks Spanish, and I speak Spanish with him. So yeah, let's just do English and Spanish. I don't want to take a risk with a language I'm not a native speaker of. But and yeah, I let that stop me for like a year because my son's already like a year old, a year and a half. And then I just said, no, I should speak Japanese to him as well. It's okay if I'm not a native speaker. And for the longest time, actually, I'm really glad that I started blogging because I came with this mindset that, if you're not a native speaker, don't bother trying to speak a language to a child because one, you'll give them bad language habits, you'll mess them up, you don't know what you're doing. So don't try to let that rub off on a child. But, the more I sort of reached out and learned about more parents who weren't native speakers, who were speaking like Spanish and French and Chinese to their kids, well, Mandarin to their children, I was just like, well, that's amazing. And you're not a native speaker? And I'm like, no, I mean, this is a great gift to give my kid. And who cares if it's perfect? I mean, you can correct those things when you get older, but
Right.
it's that impact that counts. You kind of that seed of language learning and love for languages, and it just, it blossoms. And I thought about my own situation. I was 12 or like 11. My sister found a Japanese book, phrase book. It was really small, probably like this size.
Hmm.
And she told my mom, she said, "Bob, where did you get this?" My mom was like, "Oh, I got that from the thrift store, um, it's just laying around the house.
Hmm.
Don't learn Japanese, it's impossible." And my sister was like, "Well, I'll learn it." And we're twins. So I was like, we can
Oh
learn
wow.
Japanese together and it'll be our twin language. And so we started studying it together. Um, we were like in elementary. All we had was that phrase book. And I remember reading it and I just remember feeling so overwhelmed. I was like 11 or 12 and I was just like, I'll never learn how to speak this language. It's so difficult and there's so much to it. But I just remember thinking, but it's so cool. And like, I really like it. And my mom, I think till this day, she only speaks English. She's studying Spanish or whatever. Well, I shouldn't say whatever. I think it's great even when older people, like she's a grandma now, and with her knowing that her son's biracial, she's like, yeah, I want to learn Spanish to speak to my grandbaby, which is inspiring. But yeah, she was monolingual
Hmm.
back when I first started studying Japanese. My sister, she quit. She said Japanese is sexist. I'm like, Japanese is sexist. Okay. Yeah. You who wants to study Spanish, the whole gendered language, articles and whatever. But no. Japanese is sexist. Okay. It is. Japanese is it is sexist. But that was I do remember her like never saying you can't study this language. I mean,
Right.
sure, in the beginning she was like, it's difficult, it's difficult to learn. But as she saw that I was getting really into it, she was just always encouraging. And
Hmm.
I think about that whenever I feel discouraged, because sometimes I speak to my son in Spanish and I don't know a word, and I just, I tell my husband Javier, like, how do you say this? And he's like, oh, just say it that way. I'm like, okay, thanks. When it comes to Japanese, and I kind of run into that gap where I don't know what to say, and I'm like, all right, just put some Spanish in there. He's a baby, he won't know. The baby's not gonna judge you, which is nice, but at the same time, it's not like the baby's gonna be like, Mom, how do you conjugate this? Or Mom, what's the meaning of that? Not yet, anyways. So there's a lot of self-doubt to get over, and I'm just really happy that I can look back and I remember my mom saying, like, you can do it. I know you can do it. But I also remember her saying, I am not paying for you to go to Japan, Errol. You know we don't have that kind of money.
Right.
Which made studying Japanese, not studying Japanese, but the studying Japanese wasn't as difficult as trying to get to Japan. That was so hard
Hmm.
because my only options were you better write a good essay, you better get a good scholarship, or, be lucky, win a speech contest. So like, all right, let's do the speech contest. So my Japanese teacher helped me do a speech contest, just hours of listening to her voice, imitating it over and over and over. You know, wake up in the morning, practice for like an hour, practice on a bus, looking over my speech, going over and over again, just hours of it until like, it's not like the words lost any meaning, but it was more important to know how to say the word than to know what it actually meant. And, you know, I did that for hours and for weeks until we would get to the actual like competition. And I'm even remembering now, I get so many butterflies in my stomach, like, oh my God, it's my turn to go up. But so I did that for 4 years. That was awful. It was awful, but at the same time, it was so wonderful because
Yeah.
it just, yeah. And I never won. I got close, but I never won.
You
And
did win. You did win.
and you know what, what a really interesting thing that happened was it, I think my senior year, I didn't even place. They gave me like some kind of audience award. And I remember feeling so bad, you know, everyone was going up congratulating the guy who got first place. And this Japanese guy comes up to me and he hands me his business card. That's like a big thing in Japan. You know, when someone hands you like their business card, you're supposed to be like, oh, okay, yeah. And he handed me his business card and he goes, I have a house in Japan. I'm like, okay, good for you. Go there then.
Oh my gosh,
I
girl.
was a sore loser because I hated school, and like Japanese was the only reason why I would get up in the morning and go to school. It was the only subject
Wow.
I that in English. But I just felt I dealt with a lot of like inferiority complexes with a lot of the students around me because, well, they came from money and, you know, they had dads and you know, like married parents. What the hell is that? You know, and like,
Right.
what? Your mom isn't like working till like 9 o'clock and picking you up later or something like that. Like, no, it was, you know, it was just really, it's, yeah, it was like that. And I was that poor
Right.
kid. I was in the magnet program. So my bus picked me up from Scott Street, that neighborhood in Houston with the boarded up houses and the gangs, and took me to Bel Air, Texas, in Maryland, that was full of big mansions. Like every day I saw this progression from my neighborhood to the white affluent neighborhoods. And it was just like every day I had to see it. And every day I was reminded, you know, where I was coming from and where I was. So
Wow.
um, academically too, like people, you know, college, first gen, right? A lot of that college lingo was just like, what? The only thing I had focused in my head was, if I go to college, I can go to Japan. And that's what I want to do. Like, if I go to college, I can go to Japan. I can't afford to do it without a scholarship or without, you know, being in academia, because on my own,
Right.
it's just, I can't see how I can manage it. So, but anyways, God, what was my point? I was gonna say something, but like, no, there were no losers, because that man walked up to me, he gave me his card, he said, I have a house in Japan. I was being sore about it, came back to school, and I was like, well, I'm gonna graduate anyways. It's not the end of the world. I'll be able to go to Japan in like 2 or 3 years. And I told my sensei, I call her sensei, I was like, can you believe this old guy walked up to me, gave me like his number on a card? Like, I'm just gonna rip this up right in front of you. And she's like, Errol, don't do that. Do not rip that up. When Japanese people share something like that with you, it is special, it is important. Do not rip that up. And I said, fine, okay, geez. Like, fine, I'll keep it. And I kept it in like a little like wallet thing, and it stayed there for like 2, 3 years. And finally in college, I did a Japanese speech contest. And this was different because, you know, when you're in high school, I don't know how all high schools are like, but we didn't have like office hours. And I used to stay after school with my Japanese teacher for hours on end. We were just speaking Japanese. It was just so nice. I loved it. Of course, my mom always had to come pick me up, and she's like, Errol, why are you always staying after school with your Japanese teacher? You need to go home, catch the bus. And I'm like, no, I don't
Right.
want to, because I know that once I go back home, I'm going to be far away from my only source of Japanese, of hearing natural Japanese.
Right.
So I stayed at school all the time and talked to her and listened to her, and then we just got very close. So going to college was kind of rough, because instead of staying after class and hanging out, like, hey, it's gone, they were just like, oh yeah, I'll see you in office hours. I'm like, oh, okay. It's just kind of
Oh
like,
yeah. Yeah, I
yeah,
know what you mean. Yeah.
yeah, that was a big shock for me. But one of my advisors, who was I think, I don't know, I don't think she was the head of the Japanese department, but she worked there, and she helped me write a speech. It was, I don't know, it was so different. The process wasn't as intimate because when I did with my high school teacher, it was just, I was there after school every day, and we would practice speech over and over again. She would stop me and be like, your intonation is off. That's not how you say it. That's not how you do it, Errol. But it was out of love, you know.
Right, right.
Like, I know you're just doing it because you want the best out of me, and I'm gonna give you the best. Well, yeah, in college, it was just really, I don't know. It was easier. There, I'll say it. It was easier. There was less pressure, and when I had to catch the bus all the way to Chicago. I did it. Cut all the way to Chicago. The mega bus is so ghetto.
Oh my gosh. The mega I've not been on the mega bus until now. I've been on Greyhound and that's it.
Really? I've heard terrible things.
Greyhound they're starting to have competitive prices because everybody's taking the mega bus or all these other cheap buses, the Chinese bus. Like so Greyhound's trying to be competitive.
Well,
they're doing something that resembles being competitive.
Everyone's trying to make it out there, right? Because people have options now. They're like, I got options. So but yeah, it was such a long trip, and always someone is like playing loud music. I was like, I better win this freaking competition, or I swear to God. Mm-hmm. But I won. I did win, and right after I was done with my speech and I walked off the stage, they had like a linguistics coach or something who would give you feedback. The very first thing she told me was, yeah, so your intonation is a little off. I was like, damn it, it's been 3 years since I've heard someone talk about my freaking intonation. Leave me alone. I can't fix it. Okay. But anyways, I won, and then I realized that, okay, I have a ticket, but I don't have anywhere to stay in Japan. So I got out that card that old man had gave me, and I hit him up, and he was like, hey, how are you doing? It's so nice to see you. And he's like, I'm not a creepy person. Like I have like an actual family in Japan. Like I want you to come stay with my family while you're in Japan. I was like, oh yeah, okay. And sorry, a leaf blower started, and it startled me.
Oh, okay, okay.
I don't know. Okay, sorry. But anyway, so I went to Japan. I went to go meet him. And he took me like everywhere. He took me all the way around Tokyo. We went and saw like the big Buddha. I was the Daibutsu, saw the Daibutsu and some temples. We went all the way to Kanagawa, and we saw the Ajisai, the hydrangea, and it was nice. Yeah, it was great. I was like, man, I was gonna rip up your contact info, bro.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you did not.
I'm so glad I didn't either. Yeah, that was nice. And then the whole second week, he was just like, okay, well, now you know how to navigate Japan by yourself. Here's your Suica card. It's called Suica. It's just like a rail pass. He's like, here's that, so you can get around Japan. Have a good rest of your week and stuff. And the rest of the week, it was just me and Tinder and going out with Japanese guys.
I'm done. I'm so done.
What?
That nice. Sounds like me. That sounds exactly like me. Girl, that's why I say I'm done.
They paid. We went out for drinks and buffet.
And they better.
They better. Nice. That was nice. I got so drunk.
I bet you did.
It's 20 in
What Japan, do they drink? So. What do they drink in Japan?
Girl, they drink a lot of like delicious stuff. Like sweet and fruity, but alcoholic. Like it was good. It was good. Yeah, I was just thinking the other day, I met up with this one guy, and he was so cute. But a lot of these dates, like these people I met, I was like, hey, so I just happen to win a competition, and that's why I'm here. But I'll be back in a couple of months for when I study abroad. Do you want to go out again? And they were like, yeah. So I have my list.
Oh my God, you sound like me. You sound exactly like me. That's
you
why
gotta line them up. You have to have your options. Girl, when I came back, every single one of those options was a bust. One that he was a complete sweetheart when we went out. The first time I had gone to Japan, paid for drinks and everything. And then the second time, he farted on me. I was like, is this real?
You're lying.
I was like, I wish I was. I thought about it the other day, and I was like, was that a dream or like a nightmare?
I'm done.
After that, I was convinced that like marijuana, like people must have access to marijuana or something in Japan because he looked
probably Coke. It's probably Coke.
Probably worse. I don't know. But I was
I had to learn that because like I Berlin. Okay, Let me just say. Berlin is the reason why I realized so many people do Coke. Like
what?
Like yeah, and I didn't realize it until I started telling people like, oh, this is another story time for another day. But my friend, she actually took me to this sex club in Berlin, and so he was saying something like real cavalier about drugs being like people might be looking around for drugs or whatever because this guy actually tapped me. He was like, "Hey, where'd that guy that was standing next to you go? I forgot his name. Let's say his name's Jeff. Where'd Jeff go?" I'm like, "I don't know. Why?" And he's just like, "No, because I was just wondering if if he still has some ex." And so apparently she was saying something like, "Yeah, they drugs, and they're not supposed to, but the drugs is in the club. Like people can get them, like they do, like coke and X and stuff like that."
Wow.
So I was just like, "Whoa, okay." So I started talking to my friends, telling them like, "Oh my God, this is happening," and I think that people do coke. And then like as I started to talk about it, like I had a friend, she lives in Germany too. I took her out for her birthday and we were talking. She was like, "Yeah, I've done coke before too, like real
Real
casual."
casual, just drop
Like,
it. Yeah.
what? And then I talked to another friend about this coke situation. She's like, "Yeah, I did coke too." Like, I'm like, how do you just do coke like casually? Like,
Yeah, that's what I wanted too. It's a pretty big deal. It's pretty big. Yeah. Oh, okay.
but getting back to your Tinder, was he the only? So, what was that like dating Japanese men? You said they pay, which is I would expect them to pay. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and I know that I just haven't. I remember reading something about like Asian culture, not just in Japan, but also in China. I forgot what the name of the concept is called, but they have this concept where they're not exactly truthful in order to not make you feel away. So, for instance, I forgot what the name of the concept is called, but like, for instance, let's say a Japanese person, you're in Japan, they come to your house.
Hmm.
In the course of visiting with you, they have a headache and they want to go home, but they don't want to tell you that because they don't want to make you feel away. So they'll
Mm,
stay at your house until it's time to leave instead of saying, "Hey, I have a headache, I want to go home," right?
mm,
Now, if you ask them, "Hey, are you feeling okay?" They're going to say yes. If you specifically ask them, "Do you have a headache?" They'll say yes. So it's kind of confusing because it's like you're not okay.
mm.
But I forgot what the name of it is. I just want to know, do you encounter that when you were dating Japanese guys, like them kind
Uh,
of not being truthful about something because they thought you might feel away?
I don't know.
I don't know. I got my free
That's
dinner
a
and I
really
left.
heavy one. And this is another important point to bring up. You know,
Uh-huh.
to say like I dated a Japanese guy, that has such a nice ring to it. But the reality was a lot of the relationships I had never went beyond meeting each other like 2 or 3 times, and then they like
That's still
keep their
dating.
really that counts as dating. I don't count it as dating.
Listen, I can't listen. If there was time spent, it's dating. The end. Dating doesn't mean a
Mm.
relationship. Dating just means you're getting to know people. In my book, dating means I'm getting free dinner and gifts and stuff. So
I like the idea because I mean, I'd gone out with so many of them, but one thing that I will remember though was I went out with one guy and he brought his friend along. I was like, "Why are you here?" And but I actually had more fun with his friend than like with him because he wasn't saying anything to me, and his friend was like actually talking to me, and I was like, "Yeah, I can get behind this." Nothing happened or anything, but right after everything, he texted me and said, "I think you're so cool. Like, I
the
like
guy that
you."
was quiet.
Yeah, and I was just like, "Why didn't you?" Like, why didn't you say that then? That would have been nice.
So
So
what was he trying to do? Was he trying to save face or what was he
I
doing?
don't know.
Was he
I don't
shy?
know. I maybe that could have been a thing, but it was just Japan was just one of the worst places to be thirsty because it's like I'm ready. Are you? And they're like, yeah, I'm ready, but
No, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not.
yeah, they're not. They're
They're
not.
not.
They're not.
I could have told you that. I didn't even have to go there to know they're not ready.
One of
They're,
the I don't know. It's just I don't want to get like in too much detail. I don't know how far I can go.
I don't know. They still watching. They very much interested in what we got to say. So I know this is going to be a little
I mean,
change of pace
a
because
conversation, but I do want to say that all like everything that happened, it was all in Japanese, and that's what I really enjoyed. That like,
right,
okay, my Japanese is good enough to the point where I can date in another language. You
right.
know, I don't really have to worry about a language barrier. But yeah, some guys just like, you're so pretty, I can't get it up. And I was just like, I don't understand that. Like, I faced a lot of that. So like, people saying you're so cool, I can't like talk to you to your face. So if you're so pretty, I can't even do it with you. And it was like, that makes me feel the very opposite, by the way.
Right. Listen, I've gotten that too.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was
It makes me
like,
feel
you
like,
ain't
ooh.
got to lie, Craig. I mean, maybe it was the truth. I don't know.
Yeah, I had one. I was just like, I know what. Like, after, I was like, okay, so we just gonna go to sleep. And he was like, pretty much. Oh, yes, me. And then we like go to sleep, right? And then he woke me up. He woke me up to say, it's because I'm stressed because I teach English. That's why. All
You
right.
a
Oh, yes.
liar. So it took you all night to come up with that?
Like, you proud of yourself? You proud of yourself? You proud of
But you
yourself?
know what? I will have to say, I also was told this too. I had this guy that I know. He actually
Mm-hmm.
lives not that far from me. But he's married now. He's married now. He got kids. So we don't talk no more. But so I'm not gonna shout his name. So this guy, I met him on one of those dating websites. This is the old. I don't even think this website exists no more. It's called ilove.de. I love like iPhone,
Yeah.
iPad. I love
Okay.
dot
Okay.
de. But this is before iPad and all this stuff.
That
So I
did
don't
like,
know
so
why it was even
Deutschland is
called that.
like Germany. That's why it's
Yeah,
that
so it's
deep.
just for
Okay.
Germany. That's why
Okay.
.de.
Okay.
So I got on the website to get over my ex that broke my heart because that was my first time dating a guy and actually having feelings. Before then, I didn't have no feelings. I was a cunt. I was a complete cunt, and I didn't have no feelings. And then, he destroyed my heart. And then I was like, I thought I could just, because I was so used to not having feelings, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'll just get another one.
Yeah.
Didn't work like that. So I got on this website and he wrote me. But the thing is, I decided to escape and come back to the US. I decided, you know what, let me come back to the US. That way I don't have to
Yeah.
worry about him and I could be with my family because there was some family stuff going on.
Yeah.
So he wrote me and I went to check my messages. I said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the US. He still wanted to talk to me because he was like, oh, when are you coming back? And because normally
Yeah.
when I say I moved back to the US, people left me alone. But he was like, oh, when are you coming back? We could still talk until you come back, da da
Uh-oh.
da. And I was just like, okay, why all of that? What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
So we talked all these years. Anyway, I say all this to say he, not just him, but I've been asked this question by more than one German guy. They automatically assume for some reason that, they're not endowed enough because, and so I'm like, you don't even know. And the crazy part is the one that I'm talking about that's married and stuff, he was the most endowed out of all of them. That's why I was just like, okay.
Well, and this is
I mean,
another
I
thing
didn't
too. It's
know when
like,
he asked me because we hadn't even gone there. He
right.
mentioned that, but
Yeah.
after the fact, I was like, "You're the most." It's okay. It's just a conversation. It's just listen. It's not TV. It's fine. So yeah. So I was just like, I don't know if that's because I don't. I think even the guys that
That's
are
a thing in
culture
Japan
from
too.
us, even in the
That's a
U.S.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
But
it's just the thing because the propaganda. Like
but
even the
then
guys,
the big issue becomes
you said
the
what?
issue the
Wait,
issue
what?
becomes, no, I said the big issue, and I was like, sorry, I need to.
The entendre, the big issue.
Well, then the issue becomes like, okay, if they assume that all I care about is size, then they're thinking that it's gonna work magic by itself. I'm like, like, I'm here for the whole package.
Listen,
Like, you
they
can't
don't
just be
think
like,
that's
it's big, so we good, right? I'm like, no, like, you still have to be good at sex, or like, like, it's not enough. But
right.
there are guys like that, and it was just like, okay, I can't enjoy this, so peace.
I
I'm a
just I don't. My thing. This is my thing. This is okay. So this is my thing. I came here for a good time. Why are you inviting me this raggedy ass shit? You knew that you was insecure. You know it wasn't working. You knew all these things. Why? That's like inviting me to a barbecue and then you're gonna tell me you don't got no steak. Why you invite me here for?
Why am I here? Why am
Why
I
am I here?
here?
I came here
Why am
to
I
eat
here?
burgers and steak. I didn't come here for potato salad. I came here for burgers and steak. You don't have any burgers and steak? Well, guess what? I'm not staying. I'm gonna go. Somebody else got a barbecue because I came for the steak. I came for the steak. I don't see no steak. I don't see the grill on fire. I don't see nothing. But you inviting me here talking about it's a barbecue. Homie, do you even have a grill? Let's start there. Do you have a grill? No? Why are you inviting me? Why are you inviting me? I don't understand that. That's something I don't understand. But I understand that though, like as far as what you're saying, because that has happened to me here in Germany too. I think I even had that happen in the States before. But the thing is, they don't say it. Like they just kind of, you could just tell with them. But here I've had, I think, 2 guys kind of insinuate, like kind of say it like, oh, well, I don't know if I'm enough for you. And I'm like, what do you mean enough?
Like, I don't know, like if you know how to throw down, then you should be okay. You know, it's not like.
Well, since we're on the subject, since we're kind of being crass here, I wasn't expecting that, but hey, this might be entertaining to the ladies. So since we got a little crass here, I'm kind of curious. Is it true that they're I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I didn't let you finish.
You already know. You already know. So just
I don't know.
So you don't have to even go into detail. You could just say yes. You can say no.
No, I don't know. I need you to ask. I'm sorry.
Oh, you don't know? I thought you knew because I'm sure the people watching this know. So I heard through the grapevine. I don't know. I never been with no. I had a crush. I did have a crush on an Asian guy when I was in junior high school. I will never forget. His name was Willard. He was actually pretty tall. I don't know what he was.
You got some really tall Japanese people too. Like, yeah.
I think he was Japanese. His name was Willard. I don't know his last name. Couldn't tell you. His name was Willard. I had a crush on him, and I think he liked me, but I think it was taboo to like me because I was just, black and chubby and stuff. But I got the feeling that he liked me, but he was nice to me, but it was in a different way. He wasn't nice to me like everybody else. It was like nice, like a shy kind of like,
Yeah.
And so, but that's it. That's the only time I ever liked somebody. So I don't know. I never got close to dating nobody that was like from Asia. I mean, unless you want to count, because I know here, I know in the US, they don't really count like India and Pakistan and stuff, but here they do. Like if you say, oh, they're from Asia, and you say, oh, they're from India, then it's like, okay. But in the US, it's kind of like, India, that's not Asia. Technically it is. But I dated a Pakistani. Other than that, I never really dated nobody like from Korea or Japan or China or anything like that. So that's why I'm asking, I heard through the grapevine that they're not endowed.
It's a lie.
It's a lie? It's a lie.
Yeah, just like you have tall Asian people, like you have Asian guys with like just like huge. So
okay, so then let me put that on the list. Japanese. Because I do want to learn Japanese. Not for that reason, but I'm just saying.
That's why I learned it. I'm just kidding. You know why I learned it. I gave you my whole, but I will tell you what, as soon as high school ended and I didn't have anything academically tying me to Japanese, I was just like, well, I want to connect with more native speakers. I want to get online and talk to them because school is out. My Japanese teacher, she lived, I think, all the way out in Sugar Land, which is even further than Maryland. So I was like, how do I keep in touch with it? And one thing that I picked up on was, until people saw my face, and they just heard my voice, they would say things like, like, oh, are you like second generation Japanese, or, are you an American living in Japan? Because like your Japanese is like really, really good. But then as soon as like the camera would come on, I feel like they're like, oh, okay, so you're American. Let's learn English together. And like slowly after that summer with just the different like guys and girls that I was talking to, I just kind of felt more comfortable with just like, okay, let's keep the camera off. Let's not see my face.
Right.
Let me just hide behind this fake Japanese girl. And I did that for like a long time. And some people, like, there's this Japanese word for like, you got caught, bareta, like if you got exposed or something like that. Like, so there was some.
What's it called again? Say the word.
Bareta, bareta, bareta. It's past
I
tense.
feel like they said that in the chat the other day.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that was me.
Are you in the chat? Are you in the chat, the Japanese chat, the WhatsApp group?
No, I'm not. No.
Okay, I have to put it. I don't know if you're in if you're in the Facebook group. The links to the WhatsApp groups for Spanish, French, Japanese, because there's 2 Japanese groups. There's a beginner group where there's some English mixed in, and then there's the advanced group where they're only using the Japanese characters, the 3 sets.
Oh, okay. Yeah, give me the link because I'm in the Facebook group. Okay, but anyways, yeah, that's.
I'll tag you in the post.
Huh?
I'll tag you in the post. So.
Oh, okay, good, great. Yeah, no, because it wasn't like a bad thing. Like I was saying before, one thing that really gives me away was my intonation. They'd be like, well, from your intonation, I kind of figured that maybe you weren't a native speaker. But some people were like, oh, I just thought you were like from northern Japan, like you had a dialect or something. I thought you were Japanese. And what? What do you want? Miss chocolate? Yeah. Okay, vete entonces. I'm sorry.
Mommy. That's what you do.
I got my baby all dressed up. He's taking our son outside for a walk. He gets cabin fever. Like he bangs on the window. He will grab your hand and put your hand on the doorknob and be like, open it. But he doesn't talk yet. So he just looks at you and goes, bebe, bebe, bebe. I'm like, okay.
That's so cute. That's so cute.
Very cute. But anyways, yeah, it became like this really fun thing to just like call people. So there's something called the Keijiban. Sounds like KGB, but no, it's a Japanese word for BBS board. And it's really sketchy. It's sketchy.
Me. Please tell me.
Oh yeah. No, I pitched the same story to one of my editors and he loved it. He was like, we're obviously gonna have to take some parts out, but I love this. Like, okay. So, it's basically this website you can go to. They have like Skype Keijiban, Line Keijiban. Have you heard of Line? That's an app too in Japan and Korea. It's like their messaging app. It's like all right, but anyways, so people have like different posts talking about the kind of person they want to talk to. And it's pretty simple. It's like, hey, the ones like I would submit would be like, hey, I'm like 20, I'm 25 now, but 5 years ago, like, hey, I'm 20, I'm from the US, I speak Japanese and English, I like music, karaoke, blah, blah, blah. Let's talk. And so I'd get a bunch of, when I first did this, I didn't know to turn off my settings on Skype that said, if we're not connected, you can't call me or message me. I have to approve it. So I didn't have that enabled. So I was getting phone calls, on Skype and messages at me, just like images like penises and stuff. It was awful. People are saying like, yeah, I want to do it with you, or like, can you watch me master, like stuff like that. I was like, oh my god, this is kind of awesome. I was like, I remind you, I was like 18. I had never masturbated. I'd never even like, I didn't even think I liked guys. I thought I was a lesbian. I don't even like guys. But after that summer, I was like, yeah, I'm good.
Oh my god, I'm done. I'm finished.
It was fun. It was fun, but I think the best part was that it was all voice, I was like, I'm not even like fucking these guys like for real. I can just, it's all fantasy. And even if they find out them American, they think all Americans are like big, busty blonde chicks anyways. They got even more turned on. So that was even more hilarious. So, but I was just like, this is so nice. But then I just realized once Errol comes into the scene, black nappy-headed girl, all of a sudden it's like, the conversation's like, oh, do you like hip hop? Or like, oh, you're black. And
I hate that. I hate that.
I couldn't stand it. So I did the best I could to I had my nickname was Saki. Because Saki likes
what?
My nickname was Saki. The Japanese.
Saki, S-A-K-I?
S-A-K-I, yeah. It was because I knew a Japanese girl named Saki. But anyway, I took my Japanese teacher's first name. It was like Kazuko or something. Her name was Chizuko and I changed it to Kazuko. So first guys were calling me Kazuko, and then I changed it to Saki once I got in college. Because it got even worse in college. It was like I got even like more thirsty. So I was just like doing this all the time. And it was just so much because I hated learning Japanese in college. It was, you know, just a bunch of preppy kids with a lot of money who weren't on my level. So I just felt like I want to talk to somebody, and I also want to get off. So I was just like,
Oh
I
my
did both.
gosh,
But yeah,
Lord, I
it
feel
was
so bad because I wasn't ready. I feel like the people, if they're still watching, they're probably like I'm like the Kevin Hart. Oh no, I wasn't ready. I can't do it. I always try to do it. Oh no, I wasn't ready.
you can edit all this, but
I'm
here's
not editing nothing. No, I
oh,
already told them. I already told them I'm not editing nothing. Like I can't be bothered. You're gonna get
but
these
here's where
stuttering. You're gonna get everything.
but I mean, years from now that I'm married and I have a kid, I'm like, oh God. But looking back on it, that kind of intersection between your identity, your sexuality, your relationship with your race and your culture, and how you're bringing that into a relationship, not just a sexual relationship, even a relationship as superficial as Skype sex, you're still in this, you know, this performance kind of thing where you were, you know, I was imitating and performing a language, and in the back of my head thinking, I have erased my blackness, right? I've erased it. All you hear is this Japanese. This is what I am. This is what I'm presenting. I'm safe. I'm okay. So then when I'm physically in Japan, I'm physically dating these Japanese guys, you know, I'm being constantly reminded you're black. People are going to stare at you on the trains and the, you know, in the corner stores, everywhere
Mm-hmm.
you go. You speak Japanese fluently. They're going to be like, "Oh, I can't believe you studied it." Or they're going to respond to you in English. Or, you know, they're going to ignore you. I have spoken Japanese to people face to face and then turn around and been asked, "Do you speak Japanese?" I'm like, "Are you deaf?"
Are you
Right?
deaf?
And no, like seriously, it would happen. And mine was like, well, did I not speak loud enough? Because I can speak loud, but like, nope, that's not the problem. You know, like that's not the issue here. And you know, one of the things that caused me to just totally shut down while I was in Japan was because I realized I can't hide behind my voice anymore because people see me first. You know, it's
Right.
like it doesn't matter if I speak, doesn't matter how well I speak. It's like they see me, and that's what's leaving the impression, not the way I sound, but the way I look. And I can't change that, right?
Wow.
And I think another big thing, yeah, so at some point I was like, I am done with dating. I just want to stay in my dorm all day. I still talk to guys on Skype, but I just kind of got tired of it because I was just like, I think I'm just gonna be depressed now.
Oh
Like, all right,
God.
and I was happy with that, and which is weird to say, but Japan is one of those countries where um, you can really be what is it like it's okay to be alone. Like there's so much loneliness you can embrace there versus here in the United States. It's just seen very differently. Like loneliness is defined differently in every country because togetherness is defined differently, right? Togetherness in Japan means you go on a train and you're squashed in between a whole bunch of people, but that may be you getting out for the day. You know, like that may be like the only time of the day where you're surrounded by people. You go home and it's like no one talks to you because everyone's too busy, you know, studying for exams or they got work tomorrow and they don't want to talk to anybody else. There's just, I don't know, there's just this really weird sense of you're never alone because you're surrounded by all these people in this small country. But at the same time, you can feel very, very lonely. And especially when I went for days without seeing another Black person. I will say in Roppongi, Roppongie, there are a lot of African dudes. I don't know why. And that is a pretty, you don't want to walk there alone if you go clubbing. There's lots of clubs there, but there are a lot of foreigners there. And kind of like you said about the coke thing, like I think there is drug activity in that part of Japan, but I haven't seen it. You know, clubs are pretty safe,
Listen,
but
anytime it's a club scene, it's activity. The end.
right, yeah. I mean, it was nothing I could see. I went with college friends. So funny. I went out with my friends from college and I got so shit faced. It was so bad. And I showed up to school that Monday and I was trying to give a presentation and they were just all laughing at me. And the teacher was like, "What's going on, everybody? What's so
Oh
funny?" Like,
no, no.
because Errol acts like she's smart, but she's actually a hoe. So that's
Oh my
that's what's
God.
so funny. No, But I think one moment where I just realized that I am Black, and it's really weird to just kind of be like, I'm gonna come to this country and I'm gonna forget about my Black identity. I'm gonna make so many Asian friends. I'm gonna get me an Asian boyfriend, Asian, husband. Like, I'm not even gonna worry about being Black anymore. I can escape police brutality and I don't have to worry about, this terrible past of slavery. Like, no, this is all new. Like, I'm gonna absorb this culture and it's gonna be mine now because I speak the language. And that's more enough reason to like be someone else. And people were even telling me like, oh, you're basically Japanese, which is, I don't like those compliments anymore because I've had people even tell like, oh, you're basically a Mexican now. Like, nope, I'm Black and I speak Spanish.
Right.
All right. I am Black and I speak Japanese. I am Black and I speak, this language, but that does not make me Mexican. That does not make me Japanese. That does not make me German. Like, I am me and I embrace being me, a multilingual Black woman. Like, that's so important. Do not erase my identity because I tried to do that and it sucked. So thank you. And I was dating this guy. I remember I told him I'm on my period, so like, I can't come over and like do fun stuff. He's like, no, just come over and we'll hold each other. I'm like, oh, that's so cute. He sucked. He was terrible. He couldn't even cuddle right. But anyway, so we're cuddling, and I'm like, ugh.
I think they have that's a market over there actually. They have a market for
girl, anything's a market. You can think of anything. It's not too far fetched. But then the TV comes on, right? Mm-hmm. And there it is in Japanese, Black man gunned down by a policeman in San Antonio. And, he turns to me, he's like, that's awful, isn't it? And I'm like, yeah, it is awful that I'm in fucking Japan right now and I still can't escape news like this. And then I just realized, yeah, Errol, you're Black. Right. You're Black. That's someone from your race getting gunned down by a policeman. And no matter where you are, it is still happening. You can't escape this. And I mentioned Roppongi because the African men there, I remember I was drunk and staggering in the streets and they would call out to me and saying, my sister. And I was like, no, don't touch me.
Oh my God, they do that here.
I'm not your sister. I was like, shut up, I'm in Japan, I'm living my best life. And then, yeah, that was crazy. That was a crazy night. But yeah, even in that moment, I'm looking at the TV, Black guy getting gunned down. I was like, huh. And actually, when I went back to Minnesota afterwards, that's when, I don't know if you remember the story of Flandro Castile, the man that was gunned down.
Yes, uh-huh.
Yeah, and then that happened, that's literally like a bus ride away from campus, like his grave. I still see it, right? Like, we still see it every time we go out there. And I was just like, if I can't escape it, and I remember in my head just thinking, if I can't face my identity, if I'm not, like, I'm not ready to say I'm a Black woman yet. Is that okay? Can I still like keep sleeping with men to run away from my identity and feel like something else? And then finally, like the last week I was in Japan, I said, no, once you get back to the States, you have to go to therapy. I'm sorry, you have to go. You're not, this ain't hot. This ain't working. So yeah, I remember going back to the States. I checked myself right into therapy. And at some point I was like, I am me. I love myself. I'm great. I don't need a man ever, ever again. And that's when I met my husband. Like, right.
Oh my gosh.
And what really confused me was like, I was really happy with not dealing with a language barrier when dating someone. Like, okay, I speak Japanese, I understand everything. And I speak dirty Japanese too, so don't try to pull anything over my head. So, but now I'm like speaking Spanish, struggling to learn Spanish for my boyfriend at the time. And I'm just like, I don't know. Where is this going? This is exciting, this is fun, but like, is this sustainable? Will this go somewhere? I don't know if I'm willing to pick up Spanish. Because I liked someone from my middle school years ago. His name was Alfonso Mendez, and he didn't like me back. And I was like, I'll never love ever again.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, man, I don't think I could ever marry someone from Mexico or be with someone Hispanic. And look at me now. So I always thought that was just so ironic. I told my sister, because she was really big with learning Spanish, and she went to Nicaragua and stuff, she speaks Spanish fluently. And when I told her I was dating a Mexican, she was like, what are you doing that? She's like, that would be like if I were to date a Japanese guy. That's what that's like. And I'm like, oh yeah, it would be. But no, she went ahead and dated someone, I think Chicano. But I was like, why didn't you marry someone Japanese? Like, I married someone Mexican.
Oh my gosh.
Like, look out for me here. But yeah, no, but anyways, I know it can sound a little crass and everything like that, but I think it's something that when I was looking at language learning websites, I just felt that it was missing. Like there's just this real personal aspect to learning a language that, and I don't think people talk about enough. Look, what if you want to learn how to be intimate in another language? Like to be really intimate.
I actually talked about that on my IG today, on my IG
Okay.
live. I briefly talked about it. I said that I had came across a website on how to basically talk dirty in Spanish. Don't ask me how I ended up on the website. Don't ask. I just was here for it. And I was like, I wonder if they have this in German, which I actually don't really need it because I kind of figured it out. I was just curious if they had it in German. You said what?
It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. A lot of if you know how to say to go and to come, you're pretty good. So,
but guys, they want to hear. And I was saying that on IG Live. I was just like, I'm sorry, but talking German and talking nasty in German is just oh Mann, also du magst mich so wahnsinnig und ich bin so nass, wenn ich von dir denke. Sorry, but that's not sexy. And I can't tell you how many times I was listening to this guy, he really thinks this is hot. I'm legit watching Netflix and he really thinks this is hot right now.
God.
But yeah, so it wasn't easy in German, but I figured it out. How did I figure it out? Rap music helped me figure it out. Yes.
Oh yeah, it probably would. I mean, some entire songs are based just foreplay,
yeah,
or the
braggadocio. Yeah, braggadocio all day. Be very explicit. There's this song called "Strip for mich," which "Strip for me," and it's very provocative.
See, I don't hear enough Japanese songs like that. I don't listen to a lot of Japanese hip hop. There are definitely some Japanese songs that get really poetic, like "Let Me Dive Into Your Flower" or something like that, and it's okay, but yeah, a lot
dive into my flower,
or no, get wrapped by your petals. I don't know if that's your vagina.
Whoa! Wrapped by your petals.
Yeah, I think it's Hanabira ni Makumaru. I think it's getting wrapped by the petals.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You can get creative because I mean a lot. I've gotten creative before too. Because there's this thing where they have S and M, but it's like a personality thing too. So I don't know, but
no, yeah, I remember reading that. I remember reading Japan. They have some different things going on. But
it's but I would get asked that with okay, do you want to do phone play? Yeah, let's do phone play. You're okay, are you S or M? Do you like to lead or do you like to be on the more passive side? And I'd be oh yeah, I'm M. Do whatever you want. But I would always say
wait, stop. Skirt. Wait a second.
Oh, I would be asked.
Wait. I just needed a minute because I heard you, but I didn't hear you. But now it's stuck in, and I'm just wait a second. Okay, I got it now. You can keep going.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I did. I was wait a second. Okay, go ahead.
so with the M part, I mean, basically all you have to do is say hi, which is yes, I understand, and just moan and that's fine. But if someone tells you I'm M, then it's oh, I have to be on the offense. I have to tease you.
Right.
Tease them, and you have to conjugate verbs and shit. And, you have to think about your relationship because that really affects the verbs and stuff in Japanese. So I was just oh, why do you have to be M? Ugh. But anyway, I don't know the vocabulary right now, but yeah, and sometimes they'll help you out, oh yeah, this is a word for chin, they want to hear you say something. I'm gonna grab you by your chin or something, or I'm gonna pull your hair or something like that. I wouldn't know the vocabulary, but they were pretty nice about it. Oh yeah,
that's not sexy. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not sexy to have to conjugate to no. I'm gonna tell you, and then another thing is, obviously, when I'm arriving in my native language, right? So all that is great, but if I'm arriving to the spot with my native language, and it's annoying for people who don't speak that, because I remember one time, this is way TMI, this is intimate, but we friends, it's fine. So I remember one time, this guy who I don't speak to no more, but he's a jerk. But anyway, I remember I was arriving, and he was like, kept asking me, like in German, what did you say? He's like, huh? Was hast du gesagt? Was sagst du? And I'm like, nothing, nothing. Was sagst du? Nix, nix. Ich habe nix gesagt. Please shut up before I lose it. Like,
I
don't.
know, it's so easy to just like sis and go away like that. It's like, oh, like
Right.
seriously,
Like,
all
stop
because you
asking
talk,
me. Don't ask me.
all
Just
because you talk. This is you. This is what you need to be doing. This is what
right,
you're doing. This is what you got to do.
right. So it's like all that knowing how to speak German is great, but then like when it comes to,
But
when it,
there are emergency situations too. Because when I went surfing, I don't go surfing anymore. I don't know why I did, but I went
that
surfing and
sounds
I
cool,
actually,
surfing.
it does sound cool, but it's really salty because you fall in the water and that salt water gets all in your mouth and it is not fun. But it is fun. It is fun when you do it right, and you're surrounded by like half naked people. So I was happy. But yeah, the girl was. We had just rode a wave, and she somehow like her board ended up next to mine, and my board hit her leg, and then like blood came out, and I was like, so my thought is to say in English, she's bleeding. But I'm like, well, no one speaks English, Errol. You have to say it in Japanese. So I was like, chiga deteru, chiga deteru. So I was able to say it in Japanese. And I was able to, communicate in Japanese until the ambulance came and everything left. But in those kind of
Dang.
situations, I'm like half expecting my teacher to come out and be like, good job, Errol. You stayed in Japanese the whole time. but no, part of me's like, hey, this is real ass life. But yeah, and then there's always that weird getting to the surfing place was hilarious because it was in Kanagawa, but the place to get off the station I think was called was in Enoshima. I think it was Enoshima station, but I got off earlier and I called and I was talking in the Japanese. I said, hey, I got off at this station. Is this the right station? And then he was like, English. I was like, okay, you're on the phone, sir. He's like, English. And he's like yelling at someone to come talk to me. And the guy goes, not that station, okay? Wrong.
I'm done.
Hangs up on me. And I'm like, I'm done. Like I speak Japanese. So there was a lot of like begging to just be spoken. But I had my friend who was going to the same college who was Chinese, right? And she spoke some Japanese, but it wasn't as good as mine, okay? There. I'm not trying to like.
No, it is what it is. It's an assessment. It's an assessment.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as mine. So if we go out to restaurants and stuff, and the waitress would ask like, "What do you want?" She would kind of stare like, "What'd she say?" But they look at me and say in English like, "What would you like?" But it was like, okay, so you're gonna talk to her in Japanese because she looks Asian. She's not gonna talk to Japanese to me because I'm black. Baba. I'm sorry, my baby.
Okay, it's okay.
But yeah, that was some really. And I remember this woman. I was at the train station. I can't remember where I was going. So I'm known as Hoko Onchi in Japanese. That means you have no sense of direction, and that's me. Those trains, the system is very efficient, but for someone like me, it's just a bunch of lines going all around the place.
Right.
So this woman came up to me. She asked me for directions in Japanese. I responded to her in Japanese. I'm not really good with directions. I can't remember what station. Like, this is XYZ station. Please talk to someone. Please talk to someone who works here at the station. She just jumped back. She was like, you actually speak Japanese. And I was like, yeah, well, you spoke to me in Japanese. What did you expect me to say? And I would get that a lot. They were like, holy crap, you actually speak Japanese. Like, oh, hell yeah, I do. I spent a long time studying this damn language. So, but I don't know. It's just one of those languages where I really fell in love with the language. The culture itself was really hard to kind of, even now, it's still really hard to embrace because I believe that there really is still this obsession with the white aesthetic. And as far as embracing Black culture goes, there's a lot of, if it's hip hop related, yeah, let's talk. Or there's still a lot of ignorance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And actually that man who gave me his business card and was talking to me and everything, one of his daughters married a Black man, and they have children, so their children are half Black, half Japanese. And so like, oh, well, maybe that was why he was nice to me, but I don't know. He's still pretty cool. We still keep in touch. So
Oh, that's so
yeah. Yeah, and it
sweet.
is really sweet. It is really sweet. Yeah, his grandkids are just beautiful. I think one of them is named Diamond, one of them named Dazzle, one is named like Dangerous. I don't know. Like it's really cool. Like really. Okay. Okay. Yeah. ¿Tienes 30 minutos? Okay. All right. My husband goes to work soon, but he's gonna go bathe the baby. But I'm still here for this.
Because I was gonna say what we could do is because this is great. I think this is really great. This is another dimension of language and culture journey. This is completely different from my other interviews, and I think
Oh,
it's
thanks.
great. And but I know you have to be a mommy and stuff.
Oh,
Um,
he's got them for now. Yeah,
because I
we're
was
still
gonna
good.
say we still have some time. We still have a little bit of time, I think. So, but if you do need to go, I totally understand that as well.
Oh no, we're good. I don't. The baby doesn't like for me to bathe him. I don't know why. He will only
Oh
be
my
bathed with his
God.
daddy, which it gets kind of
Ah.
annoying because like he only says mama when he's crying, but like throughout the whole day he just goes dada papa dada papa. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, but who feeds you?
Exactly.
Mama. Yeah, I really enjoy speaking Japanese and Spanish to that baby, and
Oh.
when I finally started speaking Japanese to him, because okay, so Japanese, also has a very big cute culture, and
A
one
what
thing is
culture?
cute, kawaii, the
Oh,
kawaii,
right.
yeah, and that kind of ties into sex too, because Japanese has onomatopoeia, and so there's literally words for like any sound you can think of.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, we have it, but I don't think it's just a focus on it.
It's a real I wouldn't say it's like a huge part of the language, but at least part of conversational Japanese. It's really good to know. And with I don't know if you ever heard the Japanese language proficiency exam, that exam too, they kind of throw it in there at like random parts. So it's like if you don't know it, it kind of sucks because it can mean anything, but it's repetitive. So like rain, para para, or like pouring rain, za za. It's usually seen in like comic books and stuff, but people like speak that way as well. And I remember sometimes I used to like I wasn't on Skype just doing like sex stuff all the time. Sometimes I'd actually want to talk to people, but I would literally like give myself away as a non-native speaker when they would be like, they'd hop on the phone and be like, kyo wa pari pari da yo. And I'm like, what the hell is pari pari? And
I'm
I would ask them,
dying.
and they would just be like, are you not Japanese? I'm like, sorry, I'm not. Like, no, it's cool. I like hip hop, and then the air kind of changes. Like it's not the same because they know you're not Japanese, and it kind of becomes this pedagogical kind of feel like I'm going to teach you about Japan when sometimes it's like I don't even want to be taught about Japan right now. I just kind of want to chill and speak in Japanese.
Right,
Because it's
right.
like that's the kind of bullshit you get in school. Like Tokyo is the third most populous city in the world, and when I grow up, I'm going to go to the castle and I'm going to be a samurai. It's just like that ABCD 1, 2, 3 bullshit that I was tired of, and I
Right.
realized when I was talking to there's a downside to it too, because you have some rude ass Japanese people out there. You
I
have some
believe
rude,
it.
stupid ones. Like it's not all pish posh, but
Mm-mm.
I digress. So one thing you just so if you kiss someone, you can just say chew. Right. Kind of like it's different like in German. I know choose, that's like saying goodbye. But I love when I took German in high school. The German teacher was right next to the Japanese teacher. When I was in high school, they're like, Errol, you're gonna have to pick a second language. Do you want to take Spanish? Like, no, I'm gonna take German because the German and Japanese teacher are good friends and they're right next door to each other. And these hallways are big. So, if I
I'm
can
done. Who does
they were
that?
big, it was a big school and the hallways sucked. It was like, either make the hallways bigger or the people smaller. So I'm gonna pick classes that are close together. And yeah, he used to always be like, choose. I'm like, oh, it sounds like you're giving me a kiss. And he'd be like, what? Like, I'm not kissing you, Errol. Like, I know, but you know what? Just forget it. Just forget it. But
Oh my
yeah, and to
gosh.
hug. So hug sounds like you, it sounds like you or like Q or something like that. But it's like it's a squeezing sound, you know, like you. But you know, in English we would just say something like hug or like you know, but we don't really like write out, you know, we don't have a word for it, you know. So Japanese is like that, has a like, and so yeah, especially when it comes to sex, like there are sounds so that you can use to like tell people, and especially like if it's over the phone. So it's really nice when it's like, what's going on? Like gucha gucha. I'm like, oh okay, wet vagina. Shko shko. Oh, okay, stroking. Stuff like that.
I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. That was
You
the
know, like bisha bisha, stuff like that. Like you would hear those words and you go, okay, I can really visualize the sounds that's going on here, you know. But I mean, similar things happen with like feelings too. You know, if someone says, you know, like I'm sad or something, like there's a sound effect for that. Or like I'm angry, like ira ira. Like there's a sound for being upset, and it's just it's really expressive. But it's more like conversational, and you use it with people that you know you're like close to, or, you know. But it's just I realized a lot of relationships that I have with Japanese people in real life was more in that sense of like you're the teacher, I'm the student, or like, you know, I don't know you kind of feel. So I feel like with my son, I can like say something to him, like hug him and just go "giu," and my husband's looking at me like, "What the hell is a "giu"?" I'm like, "It's the sound effect for hugging, and I'm gonna use this sound effect with my baby. Okay, leave me alone." Or I can pick up my baby and just go chew and stuff like that, and he don't care. He's a baby. He gonna smile no matter what I'm saying. So it's like that's some really nice validation to get from affirmation to get from a baby. Because I was never really that, like, even with the guys I dated, you know, we never got to that point where we were like cuddling on the trains or going out and stuff like that. Like it never got that far. Oh, that one guy was so cute. I wish it could have gone that far, but it didn't work. It didn't work out because when I came back, I was staying with a host family that wouldn't give me a key, so I couldn't get out at night. And I was like, what's the point? Like, you know, you put a tiger in a cage. Tiger gotta be in his habitat, baby. So I was just like stuck there at night, and I would be getting matched with people on Tinder, and they'd be like, let's hit up a bar, like let's go out to drink. Like, I can't, I'm with my host family right now. I'm like, what? How old are you? I'm like, I swear I am of age. I'm stuck in my host family. So I'm like, whatever, you lame, bye. I thought you wanted to hit. I'm like, I do.
I'm done.
I am stuck here in this house. And so one of the very cute guys that I met when I first went to Japan, he was like, "Hey, do you want to go out for drinks?" I was like, "Oh, hell yeah!" He's like, and I was like, "Yeah, like let's set it up for Saturday." He's like, "No, I mean right now." I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right, I see you." His name was Yuki. I'm like, "I see you, Yuki. Let's go." But I was like, "Shit, I don't have a key. Like, I can't leave." You know, I was right there sitting at dinner with my host family. They're like, "What's wrong, Errol? What's going on?" I was like, "Nothing. Just, you know, I'm a desert."
Goodbye.
And I literally can't leave to be with like, and even my host family didn't want to hang out with me, girl. I just felt like so repugnant.
So they didn't want to hang out with you, but then you couldn't leave?
Then I couldn't have a key. Yeah, I had to coordinate everything with my host mom. And she was a bitch. Like low key, she was not cool. And so eventually
why
I had
did
to
they let you stay there? I don't understand.
I don't know either. That's kind of the downside to this higher education bull crap. They just paint it all as super pretty and like, you're gonna love this experience. They're talking something, you're gonna be in the heart of Tokyo. I was in fucking Chiba. You know what Chiba is? Exactly. So
I'm done.
Exactly. So I just like, don't tell me I'm gonna be in the heart of Tokyo. You gonna put me out in Chiba? Don't nobody know what Chiba is. Some Saitama. I'm like, get out of here with that shit. That was such a fucking ripoff. And they all gave us our commute times, which was like an hour and a half. They even had one girl, they gave her instructions to get on a bike and get to school. But I mean,
I think that happened here too.
Long commutes are like really common. Like, but like 5-year-olds and like 6-year-olds walking by themselves, like long distance.
Yeah, here like too. That freaks me out.
And doesn't it?
I'm like, I'll be looking and I'll see like kids on the bus. Like I remember one time I was on a bus, I think I saw a kid. Matter of fact, this girl, she had to be like 11. I was walking home because the bus that I need to take didn't I went to this thrift store to see if they had some furniture and they had nothing I wanted. So I was like, Dag, I'm gonna have to walk home because
Yeah.
there's no bus. So I was walking home and I see this little girl and she looked like she's 11 and I'm just like, yo, that's blowing me. And then on top of that, she actually stopped me and she was just like, I'm lost. And if and you know I'm from New York. So I'm looking for the white van because I'm like, this girl ain't lost.
Right.
I'm
Judging
like, she not lost. And then she's like, can I use your phone? So I'm like, oh, she gonna steal my phone, right? I need to keep telling myself this is Germany. This is not New York. Like it's not like
Yes.
I have to keep telling myself. So finally I was like thinking to myself, I was like, all right, I'm gonna let her get my phone. But she take it. So I let her get the phone. She's calling and then, she couldn't. And she was like, I was like, so where you lost from? And she told me she lost from going to her dad's office and she took a wrong turn. She wasn't paying attention. Excuse me. Sorry.
Now you.
I forgot, like, we're in a different time zone. So, anyway, long story short, she ended up was really lost. She started crying and everything.
Oh
And I was
no.
just thinking, so I stayed with her. I let her call her mother on my phone. Her mother came, whatever. So she was all scared and stuff. I was thinking to myself, I can't believe you was out here by yourself, just
Yeah.
like she was walking around like she was 18. It was like getting dark outside. Like I was just like,
Yeah.
because that's why when I saw her walking, and then on top of that, where I was at, the only reason I was walking that way is because Google told me there was some barbecue restaurant. So I was like, let me go ahead and hit this restaurant, get this barbecue.
Oh, that was fate then. I'm glad you got to help her though. That was
I did
nice.
get to help her, but unfortunately, Google lied to me, and it was not no barbecue restaurant.
Girl, your priority.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad I was able to help her, but after I got her on her way. I said, okay, well, let's
Yeah.
find this restaurant. And I'm looking. I see the sign. I don't see no restaurant.
What happened? Did it close?
I don't know. It was like an industrial. You know how they have like the industrial where they have like the different, like there might be a steel manufacturer over here, and then it's like
Yeah.
so it was like an industrial thing. When I saw the sign, but all I kept seeing was the industrial companies. I was just like, I give up. It wasn't
Oh,
meant for me. It was meant for me to help this girl not be lost. It wasn't meant
yeah.
for me to eat
That
no
that reminds
barbecue.
me, because I had got locked. So because I didn't have a key, and one time I got out of school earlier, or maybe I skipped class. I can't remember. I just feel like going to school. Home, and my host mom wasn't there. She had went shopping, so I couldn't get into the house. So I was like, this is fun. Well, let me just walk around the neighborhood. And I had my earphones on blast. I was like, do I'm in Japan. I hate it. And this little girl was talking to me, and I was like, this little girl's talking to me. I'm like, she must be tripping. So I just like keep walking, but I know she's still talking to me, and I'm just like, oh my god. So I take my earphone down, and she's like, she's like, do you want to see where the sakura are blooming? And I was like, me? Like, you talking to me? She's like, yeah, I want to show you where the cherry blossoms are blooming. I was like, okay, let's go. And so I followed her, we looked at some cherry blossoms, and it was actually pretty chill. So, but in the back of my head, and I remember telling my Japanese tutor this, I was like, I don't know why she talked to me. Did she think I was a freak or something? Like, I don't know why she came up to me, and she just talked to me like, kind of like how I wish people would have talked to me when I was in Japan, like a normal person, just kind of like that child setting where you're just like, no judgment. I just want to talk to you, and I'm a kid, so I'm just going to talk to you in the languages that I know. And she happened to just only know Japanese, so that's the language she spoke to me in. And then while we were hanging out, my host mom comes by on the bike. She's like, hey, Errol, I'm gonna open the door, okay? I'm like, okay, bye, bitch.
That's
Got me stuck
crazy
out
to
here.
me. I
Huh?
had a foreign exchange student. That's crazy to me because
Oh
my
yeah.
my foreign exchange student was spoiled. First and foremost,
Yeah.
she's Turkish, right?
Yeah.
So her parents are obviously a little more progressive because they let her leave the country because she's from Germany. She was born and raised here.
How old is she
Ooh,
when
I'm
she
a
exchanged?
horrible mother. I'm a horrible mother. I'm a horrible mother. Um, 1 second, I gotta do the math.
That's okay.
I
I think the
think
girl who approached me
I
was
think
like
she's
10 or
24. I
8.
think she's 24.
Oh, okay.
I think she's turning 24 this year. I don't know. I need to ask her. I forgot the year she was born. But so when she came, I first of all I gave her her own key. Like, come on. Cuz I was working and I didn't the thing is I would be known to cuz I would work shifts, I would pick up shifts. You know, I
Mm.
had a like a
But
flexible
that's,
schedule. I had a
I
set
mean, the
schedule.
mom,
Right.
yeah.
And I'm just like, she can't be outside. So I gave her a key. And she had to because she is the oldest sibling out of three. So she had her own room. She had privacy. You know, I allow her to close her door. I didn't do that whole you can't close your door because I'm just like, I can't, I never understood that whole you can't close your door, especially when you're a
Hmm.
teenager.
Yeah.
Um, like, no, I need privacy. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so she was spoiled. Like that girl, and she was so skinny. She's very skinny. She was like 98 pounds when she came, and so um when I first it was so funny because when she first came, I was like offering her food, and she was like, "No, I'm not hungry. No, I'm not hungry." So I said, "Is this girl anorexic?" Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, why she not eating? I'm like, that's why she's so skinny. So then I started like cooking because I'm a good cook. So I started cooking, and then we go to grocery shopping together, and I'd be like, and I like to try different things. So like
Yeah.
one time we was in the aisle, I was getting the Goya stuff because I like to I grew up using Goya. So I was gonna make some Spanish rice. And so obviously that's the same aisle in Walmart as the El Paso stuff.
Hmm.
So she saw the taco stuff and I saw her eyes light up, and then I was like, "Do
Let's do it.
you want
Yeah.
tacos?" No. I'm like, "Are you sure?" Yes.
What?
I'm like, "But I saw you looking at him." I was like, "If you had the money, would you get the tacos?" And she was like, "Yes." I said, "Okay, we get the tacos." The end. Like I told her, don't be afraid to ask. Like you're here to experience the US and what the US has to offer. So just ask me. And if I have the money, I will get it. If you don't, she was
See,
like,
that's,
on your money. And I'm like, because she had an allowance.
oh,
But I'm still like, she's a kid. What do I look like telling her, okay, you're going to pay for your portion of the groceries? That's ridiculous.
right.
No way. So I paid for everything. I told her, only thing you got to pay for is like, if you want clothes, you want shoes, like that's
Yeah.
my limit just because I know she had an allowance. But
Hmm.
I was just like, so I was just like listening to you. I'm like, I did all this stuff for this girl. Like, I
See,
done
and this,
I took her to
yeah.
Miami twice because she said that was her dream city. She said, because I asked her when I picked her up.
What?
Yeah, because I used to work for an airline. So I actually did a gate pass so that I could pick her up from the gate. And I had made a sign with the glitter. It says,
Oh,
"Welcome, Chala." So I was waiting for her in the gate, picked her up while we was waiting on her bags. I said, if you could go to, and I said, please don't pick the West Coast because I didn't want to be on no flight for 5 hours. So I said, if you could go to any city in the US, where would you go? She was like, Miami. I said, okay, we're going to Miami.
oh
She was
my
like, no, you don't have to. I said, girl, I work for an airline. It's free. Well, don't worry about it.
gosh.
So we went twice. And then I also took her to New York. We were supposed to go to we were supposed to go to Minneapolis to the Mall of America.
Oh my gosh. I'm so
But we
sick of
didn't
that
get
place.
to
I've been there
go.
so many
Yeah, we
times.
didn't get to go. I feel bad because I wanted her to see the biggest mall in the US.
Oh,
But
girl,
we did all that
she ain't
stuff.
missing nothing. It's just a mall, but bigger.
Yeah, you know, it's bigger. But still, at least she could be like, oh,
Right,
the
being
Mall of
there,
America.
right, yeah.
And then, oh my God, and this was around the time that song came out with Miley Cyrus, 23, J's on my feet, J's on my feet. This girl. So then she was like, "But Mom, I want to get some J's." I'm like, and then she's so small and she got, small feet, so she was able to get the kid size because her feet small. So she ended up getting her some
Good.
J's for like literally a little over $100. I was so mad. And so this girl, that's all I heard every time. J's on my feet. J's on my feet. I said, oh my God. I kept saying to myself, Lord, please don't let her go back to Germany like Miley Cyrus twerking and all of that because I don't want to be responsible for it.
You
And
don't create
so
no monster now, yeah.
I didn't. And I
See,
was trying not to.
this
But
is
I
what,
did though. I know I did. Because it was like certain things she picked up. And that's the thing. She picked up like some Black vernacular, obviously, because I'm talking to her like,
That's inevitable.
right.
You can't help that.
You can't. So like, I think like I used to always, I started to realize I say certain things too much because I would see her say it. Like, for instance, we went to Walmart. I used to always, before we go to the store, I used to be like, let's go to Walmart, see what Walmart's talking about, like see what they got, going on. So I would say that, well, let's go to Kroger. Let's see what Kroger talking about. I used to say it all the time. I didn't think about it, and I get it from my mom. So, because she used to say that.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember one time we went somewhere and they didn't have what we wanted. And then she's like, Mom, and she did just like this, Mom, let's go to Walmart and see what Walmart's talking about. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Like, I really got to check myself. So no, I'm just listening to you talk about your experience. And I'm just like, this girl this is why they sell that, because this girl actually, I gave her a good experience. Like even yesterday, she sent me this nice little text message with emojis and stuff, talking about Happy Mother's Day and this and that. She's a good kid. For my birthday, I'm telling my age. So my birthday, I'll just say it was a big birthday. It was a big birthday. It was one of those birthdays that end with an O or a 5. Okay, that's all we're gonna say. So for my birthday, she made a cake. Like I had to stay in my room all morning. She was like, "No, I got a surprise for you. You have to stay in your room. You can't come past the hallway." I'm like, "Okay." So I stayed in my room, played on my phone, and I came out. And one of the things she had was she had baked a cake, and then a chocolate cake, and she put in M&Ms, "I love you." Yeah, she's a good kid. She's a good kid. And
My
so,
heart and my stomach. Oh my goodness.
yeah, she was a good kid. We was a good match, honestly. We was a really good match. I couldn't ask for a better kid.
This is what, I hear that, and that just makes me feel so happy. And, when I think about how my studying abroad journey went, sometimes I ask myself, like, I was staying up at night just asking myself, like, what went wrong? Because I remember crying to one of the program organizers and saying, this isn't working out. I'm not, I can't stay. I don't have a key. I hate it. Right. And they brought me in for an interview, and it was like, well, they told us that you agreed not to turn the AC on, but you've been turning the AC on. And they were like, is something wrong with your Japanese? Because I know that your Japanese is really good, Errol. And she kept saying it over and over again. So I was like, okay, are you implying that I don't understand Japanese? Because I know how to say air conditioner, aircon. And I understand that aircon, oh wait, how do you say turn it off? But anyways, I know when you're telling me to turn it off. Oh my God. Well, okay, sweet the night. Aircon sweet the night means it's not on, right? So, I understand that.
So wait a second. Wait, I'm just trying to understand, what does the AC have to do with you not having a good experience? This is what I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like,
so
1 + 1 is not equaling 2 right now.
So let me give you the full story. So like you were saying, like there were matches like that. People being like, hey, one was like, yeah, they took me skiing. Because in Japan, like it's the same time zone throughout, but it'll be snowing like all the way up in one place and it'll be hot as hell in the other place. So I was like, so you went skiing? What the hell? And they're like, yeah, and I went and I met their son and we went to this place and that place. Like, what did you do, Errol? I'm like, I just stayed in my room and like ate.
That's horrible. I feel so bad.
Ate some rice balls. But I was just like, well, this is normal, right? But then I'm hearing all my other, friends talking about all the shit they've been able to do over the weekend. They're like, what do you do over the weekend? Study.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
Yeah, so when they brought me, so like I said, I was anemic, so I was eating a lot of ice. So I would sneak out, girl, in a room that I had. So there's the Genkan, which is this, it's like a foyer, and it had a lot of salt out there because they said it was to purify. And I'm like, look, I'm not Shinto or anything. Like, you're purifying, but I'm out here with whatever you're trying to purify. So, because I didn't have a room in the house. Like, my room was outside of the house, like in the foyer. So it was cold.
What?
It was hot. Yeah, I would live outside. Girl, my room looked like a closet. It had a closet, so I knew it wasn't a closet, but
I know what you're talking about. I felt like
it was a little bit of an upgrade from a closet, like a shoe. It did not feel like a room. I'll tell you that much. Well, one thing I noticed, like, and one of my friends did say that she had to go through like 8 doors to get to a bathroom. I had to go to like 4. There was room there was like the room to the foyer, and then there was like the room to the actual house, and sliding doors and shit. I was like, what the hell? It was a lot. But I noticed that, yeah, I live outside. I literally live outside of the house. And so I'd have to go through those doors to get to the kitchen to get ice. And I would like chew the ice because I was super anemic. But because I would, eat, well, no, that doesn't make sense. Turn on the AC because I ate a lot of ice. Well, I don't know. I just like to be cold. So I would turn on the AC. And she told me, like, don't turn on the AC. And, I kind of didn't like her. So I turned on the AC whenever I wanted to. So I was like, I live outside the fucking house. If I am hot, I'm going to turn on the AC. Yeah, like, I'm going to do what I want. I fucking pay for this program. I'm going to be like thousands of dollars in debt when I graduate college anyways. If I'm going to hell, I might as well get there quicker or whatever.
I'm done.
But anyway, so that's why they pulled me into a meeting and they said, like, hey, your host mom says you've been acting up. Like, you've been like, what's going on? Talk to me. And I'm like, I don't get a key. I hate my host mom. There is a girl there. They have a daughter who is almost the same age as me. We don't hang out. And I'm just like, this was supposed to be all about me. I've been studying Japanese for like 10 fucking years. Why isn't it not paying off? Why do I not have 5 Japanese boyfriends? Why do I why are people not coming to me and just being like, wow, you're amazing every day? I am amazing. This program is making me feel like I'm not. And that means something's wrong with the program, not me, because I'm amazing.
Right.
And like, I've invested money in this program. I applied and all that BS.
Right.
Y'all told me I was going to be in the heart of Tokyo, even though I'm in Chiba. And, it's just like, you tell me what's wrong, because I think I'm just being a normal person here, coming to a country that, I've only been to once, and I'm expecting not to necessarily be pampered or spoiled, but to be treated like a guest, because I am a guest.
Exactly,
but
you are
treated a guest. Like, I'm dirt on the bottom of the fucking doormat. You tell me what's up. She tried to get an attitude with me, but then I told her, I was like, you know what? You're not the problem here. I don't want to catch an attitude with you, because that's a waste of my attitudeness, and I only have so much of it. I'm just going to tell you straight up, I don't have a key. And she was like, you don't have a key? It's like, no, I don't. She's like, why don't you have a key? I'm like, you tell me. You're the fucking director of this program or whatever. I don't know what state she was. But anyways, she was like, okay, all right. I know we were kind of butting heads here, but I think we've reached some common ground. I'm like, oh, really? I think we have. Yeah. So she was like, okay. Would you like to stay in a dorm? I'm like, no, I came here so I could be with a family. I don't want to go to a dorm. I stay in the dorms in the fucking US. Like, this is supposed to be a different experience. But she was like, you'll have a key card, and you can go whenever you want. I was like, fine, I'll go with the dorm. The process from getting all my shit out of that house to moving to that dorms was probably one of the most depressing fucking things I've ever done. I had never felt so alone in my life.
Why?
I was carrying all of my shit. I was carrying everything I brought with me to Japan, right? Which wasn't much. And it was a lot of merchandise, because I splurged on a lot of shit. But I was literally without a home, without a place for like a day. And that kind of transition.
Wait, what do you mean without a day? So where were you sleeping?
No, I mean, I stayed at my host family, but from that morning till that night, so it wasn't overnight. It was for that day period, those 12 hours in a day, where you're supposed to be at school and stuff. I was carrying everything I brought from Japan basically with me. I can't remember where I remember what I did. So they have lockers at the stations. And so I had to like save my big stuff in a locker at one of the Japanese stations, which was convenient, but I had to go and get that shit. I had no help. The program didn't even help me.
That's a shame. They should have had somebody help you.
So it was just, makes sense. It just sucked because it felt like I was downgrading. So I finally get to the dorm. There's like a hot guy next to me. I'm like, okay, I made the right decision.
I'm done. Goodbye.
I'm like, oh yeah, dorm life. But but like till this day, I just always felt really bad, because I was like, I thought it was, and this is another thing. We all got dossiers for our families. Mm-hmm. And it all said the same thing. We're looking forward to a cross-cultural exchange. And I was like, hey, look, my family's looking forward to a cross-cultural exchange. And someone else on the bus was like, mine is too. I'm like, hey, mine is too. And then by the 5th person is like, yeah, they wrote the same thing on all the dossiers. Like they wrote the same thing. Like they don't care. But then they were like, they said, hey, your family has a dog. I was like, a dog, yay. I get there. We're talking. They're like, I bring them their omiyage, their little souvenirs from the US. I brought them chocolate and wild rice from Minnesota. I'm like, here, have at it. Something walks in the room. It has no jaw. And and it takes, and it's on 4 legs, and it hits her like, Errol, that's a dog. I'm like, oh, okay. Because I'm freaking out, because I'm like, what is that? Like it doesn't have a jaw. Like it's missing a jaw. And they go, oh, I can't remember what the name of it was. It was called Chan or something. That thing comes in, it has no jaw. It has no jaw. And I'm like, what is that? And they're like, that's her dog. That's her dog. She has cancer, unfortunately. She had to have surgery. I'm like, y'all need to put that dog down. Why are you doing that to her?
I'm sorry.
It was horrible. Like, you don't leave an animal to suffer. It had no jaw. I was like, where?
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but it's like.
But no.
It's not funny, but it's just the fact that
when you're getting a paper that says, hi, your host family has a pet, you're like, oh, wonderful. And then it has no jaw, and it's walking up to you. You're like, oh.
Oh my God, yo.
And I'm going to be honest with you, that basically sums up my whole experience with that whole family.
Oh my God.
It looked like one thing on paper. And then I got there, and it was basically like a dog with cancer and no jaw. Like that's what that whole experience was. To wrap it up, that's what that whole experience was. And so, but I will say this: I think the last couple of weeks, I had actually met up again with the gentleman who approached me, with his card and stuff, and he was like, "Well, since you only have a couple more weeks here, why don't you stay with my family?" And I was like, "Well, are you?" Because I actually didn't stay with him the first time I went to Japan. He took me around Tokyo, but I had actually stayed in a hostel. It was a nice, cheap hostel, so yeah, that was nice. But he was like, "Oh, you've actually never been to my house. I do live in Tokyo, but it's a little further out. I can help like ship your stuff to my house and stuff." I'm like, "Oh, thank you. Like, yeah, you can stay with me for like a week or two." And the experience like with his family compared to like the host family I stayed was like a million times better. Like they talked to me. This family, the host family I stayed with, it was like dinner, look at TV for like an hour. I go take a bath, study, and go to bed. It was like that every day, and like nothing.
Wow.
Right? But this family, like, oh yeah, you want to go to Tokyo Disneyland? Like, do you want to hit up, some of the places? Like,
that's
we went
so
out.
Nice. And I wish you could have had that experience the whole time.
Exactly. I was like, where were you guys 2 months ago? Like, literally. Where were you guys? Like, we were here. We were here the whole time, Errol. I just felt I was just like, I was done. But I felt really grateful because they were just so sweet, and they gave me a lot of hope. And when I came back from Japan, I was just like, oh no, you're fine. I was just like, yeah, me and Japan gonna have to take a little break. Like I just need some time. But I still had, oh my God, and don't even get me started on my job there. My job was a fucking mess. Like when I say Japan is sexist, it still is, like very much so. Because in some companies, they still make it mandatory for women to wear high heels, and like this.
I heard that. I did hear.
No, it's real. That's real. And someone had, I think, started trending on Twitter with the kutsu movement, because kutsu means shoe, but they made it like kutu, like me too. And I'm like, oh, I see what you did there. But when I was there, so Japanese has like elevated speech. You have to speak a certain way to your superiors, and then you have to speak a certain way about yourself around your superiors. Like normally I would say something like if I'm gonna like go, if I want to eat something, I'm just like, okay, tabetai, like I want to eat it. But if I'm around someone, I would say like tabetai to omoimasu, tabetai desu, so like I have to soften it or cushion it. Like I can't really, because you're around your friend, it's like, yeah, man, I'm hungry. If you're around someone, it's like, I sure could eat. It's kind of like that,
Right.
You just kind of have to sound a bit more like polished. But they had like, girl, they had like textbooks of that stuff. Like you have to like learn it. And like Japanese people have to learn it too. And even if you like Google it, they will ask like, am I saying this right? Is this how it sounds elevated? Is this how it sounds humble? Like, am I saying it? Like it's on Google a lot, and there are textbooks and classes and courses, because it's like, it's a really important culture, But they said that even so, hi, hello, goodbye became one word and my company is called Otsukare sama desu or Otsukare sama deshita. And it's kind of like saying good job, but even you could even say it to your superior. So it kind of lost its meaning as like good job and sort of became hello, goodbye, what's up, nice to see you. And it's just like I just started saying it all the fucking time. And anytime your superior walked in the room, you had to get up and bow. And so like the department head would come in, we'd all stand up and bow. Let's get some of this, let's get some of this. And one time, so the president, there was a president, and then there's, I forget who's above him, like the CFO, I think is above CEO or something. I don't know.
No, CEO is the top, CFO is the chief financial officer. So it's kind of like, I want to say, I think they're adjacent.
I think, because what, Bucho is the department head, Shacho is the president of the company. So a woman was a president, but there was a man above her, and I think he is the because president, CEO, they're not the same. Like sometimes I seem to use interchangeably.
The CEO is higher than the president. I don't know.
Yeah, because I have to remember the Japanese term for it because I can't. Yeah, I know. But yeah, she was the shacho, but he was the something cho, because cho means like the symbol means like long, but it also means like superior, like top or something. Mm-hmm. But anyways, you know, if either of them walked in, like you had to like bow and you had to say, "Got some of this." And then one time he was just sitting there and someone came in to, I think, ask him a question, and he didn't see him. So the guy goes, you know, "Got some of this," and he bows, and he stays like bowed for like, sorry, my baby hit my mouse pad. Don't do that. He stayed bowed for like 5 minutes, girl. It was so awkward. You know, I was just, you know, me being, maybe it's just me being American. I was like, you know, stand up. You know, like,
I'm done.
Like, speak up. But he was just like, he was like this for like a whole like 5 fucking minutes. And you know what the CEO was in sitting there eating peanuts. Like, he didn't see him. Like, he was literally eating peanuts. He was just like, and then he finally saw him and he was like, oh. Like, wait, are you kidding me?
Wow.
But that company actually turned out to be really shady, because I met them at a career forum because I knew I wanted to do an internship in Japan, but like most schools, they don't teach you how to get a job. And I was like scrambling. I remember I like got my own flight to California. I went there. It was so awkward. I was just walking up to random booths and being like, "Hi, I want a job." I spent there like, "Do you speak Japanese?" Like, yeah, I speak it. And they're just like, "Who is this girl? What is she doing?" But it was really sketchy. But they really wanted me to work there and stuff, but I just wasn't feeling it. They're like, and in Japan, it's really common to give you like a dorm for their what do you call it? Their employees to live in. Like they have accommodation like that. And they were like, yeah, when you come back to Japan, you'll have your own studio apartment to stay in. You know, we take care of that. But like the job itself was just so boring and soul crushing. And I just really didn't like it. And they had brought in a guy from, I think he was American, but I don't know. I think he was Indian. He identified as Indian, but he grew up in the States. And he didn't speak any Japanese, but they were paying for his Japanese lessons. I was like, oh, that's great. But there were some days I just wanted to ask him, like, are you not lonely here? Like, I know we're surrounded by people, but like, you know, when 5 o'clock hits, like these people aren't going to hang out with us. You know, we work together, but that's it. And yeah, sometimes you have like after like office parties and stuff, but you know, like I wanted to ask him like genuinely, like, do you feel a connection to anybody here in this country? Because I can tell you, being a brown-skinned woman in this country with literally feeling no connection to somebody is enough to just make you go like lose your mind, because it's just like I'm on this subway every day, squashed in between all these people. I have to meet deadlines and do all this hard work, but for what? What is it going towards? You know, and I asked myself that question. I was just like, I do not know. And I just stopped showing up. But like, shit, I have to go to my internship. So I still showed up there. But by the end of it, I was just like, I really don't want to do this. But like superficially, not superficially, but like on the outside, that's that's something really good to talk about. It makes the Japanese department look good. Like, hey, we had this Japanese student who went abroad. Now she's got a job in Japan. Yay. But it's like, oh, actually, when she was abroad, she had an eating disorder and she suffered from depression and she's actually considering going to therapy. Like, no one's gonna talk about that, right? Like, no, like, oh, like,
they're not
ooh,
gonna
you
say
are
that.
not, you got some work to do. So I was really tired of, like, during my senior year, like, they put me on academic probation, like, hey, you failed your classes while you were abroad. You can't participate in any activities. Like, oh no, how will I hang out with all you white people?
Stop it.
Like, oh no activities. Oh, dear God. Yeah, that was like, you picked the wrong time to think I give a fuck about that. And then when I got off academic probation, they were like, congratulations, you can participate in activities again. I was like, yay. Hold on, let me find the fuck to give.
Oh my God.
I'm looking for it. I'm looking. But my Japanese advisor was really, like, on me, because I spent the summer that I went abroad to Japan, I had, like, no money. I had no money. I came back, I went to Japan poor, I came back to Japan poor, and I was staying in a summer dorms with one of my friends, and I was still looking for a summer job. Like, I was struggling. And they were like, hey, since we know you're going to abroad, why don't you apply for this Japanese scholarship? Like, okay. And, I didn't have money to get an Uber or even to catch the bus to get out there to, like,
Wow.
where it was like a Japanese American. It's called Japanese American Society of Minnesota, but it's pronounced JASM, which it just sounds funny.
Okay.
JASM. Yeah, the Japanese American Society of Houston is pronounced JASH, which sounds like JASM. It just, sorry, I'm trying to be mature, although I know we're past
It's okay.
that. But I missed it because I was biking there and my bike fell apart. And I had to walk the bike back, and I was like, well, I know I'm gonna miss, the interview. And I was staying, after the dorms closed, I stayed with a friend, like, at her house, and that was just out of sheer luck. Coincidence, I texted her and I said, I'm not gonna have anywhere to live. Can I live with you? And she's like, yeah, come live with me. You don't even have to pay rent, because school's gonna start in a couple of weeks. So I felt really blessed for that. But still, I stayed there most of the time, like, well, until I get a job, I'm not gonna have anywhere to go. And I was so embarrassed, I didn't want to text my mom and be like, can you send me money? Because I was always telling her, I'm not going to go home ever. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to start my own life. And I'm never going to ask you for money ever again. She's like, okay, Errol. So when I asked her for money, she was like, all right. She sent me some. And I was finally able, finally get a job. I got it, like, a cupcake place. But
And this is
anyway,
where?
this is Minneapolis. St. Paul and Minneapolis, Twin Cities.
Is that where you are right now?
Yeah, that's where I stay right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is It's nice to know that, yeah, like, I've been here with no money, and then I've been here with, stop it. I've been here with a job, and I've been here with no job.
Look, I sense the mommy duties needing to start. So
we're good. Let me finish.
We could just go, because I think, honestly, I think we did go a little bit over our time.
Oh my God, you're right. I'm sorry.
I think we did. Now, yeah, because my phone went off, and normally my phone's not, that's not for that. My phone, actually, I have a timer because of the time difference to remind me when to post, because I try to post within those times that are popular.
Oh my gosh, did I just, like, go off your schedule?
It's okay. No, I enjoyed it, and I hope that the people watching it enjoyed it too. Thank you so much. I think there was so much valuable lessons that you shared on so many levels.
And I just, I want to say that, I mean, there are some struggles a lot with, like, education and trying to go after learning a language in the beginning. But, the good part is that, I'm not struggling as much as I used to. And I feel like I finally have found some footing, which is really nice, because it is tough when you're far away from home and when a language takes you a place where you never expected to be. But I mean, at the same time, there's always help, and you shouldn't be afraid to ask for it. So.
No.
Is it okay if his face shows it? I know sometimes YouTube asks you if kids showing your videos.
I just have to put that. I don't know.
Oh,
We'll see. If anything, I will let you know and we could do it over.
oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. But really quick before we go, hi. Hola, ¿cómo está? Hola, baby. Before we go, what's your Instagram? I know you gave it to us in the beginning, but let us know how we can contact you.
Oh yeah, Morenita Mommy. Will anyone want to contact me after this?
Of course. What do you mean? Listen, I was so like, wow, like you really don't know. Like you really, really shared a lot of like valuable lessons. Like you
Oh,
said, and stuff that
thank
people
you.
don't really talk about. Like the
Yeah,
whole isolation feeling in another country.
it's
Like I
real.
went through that
Yeah,
too.
it's
I went through
real.
that
People
too.
be smiling in them photos, but what about after you take the photo? Where you go?
Right.
Like, what do you do
Right.
after that? So,
It is real, but and I noticed that like when I lived in the bigger cities, I didn't have that problem, but now I live in a small city, like a small town.
oh, is it rural or?
It's not rural, thank God, but it's kind of they like I have to ride a bike to work. Like there's no
Right.
bus
Yeah,
stop.
I remember you mentioned that. So, yeah.
So I'm just like, okay. But yeah, all right. So that's gonna be it. That's it for the A side of the mixtape. Thank you so much. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment about because there was a lot of good stuff she talked about that a lot of us don't really talk about when we talk about being immersed in culture, learning a language. Hit the subscribe button, and then also hit the notification bell. And that's it. I'll see you later. Besitos. Language Bay.